because we dedicate time also to the NPP's flag bearer votes. That is currently ongoing. Hopefully in the next 2-3 hours, maybe the voting should be over, and then we begin to see, people begin to see their level, where they belong. And so let's quickly go to this other issue that made the headlines in the course of the week and see if we can make some sense out of that. And then whilst we are doing that, we will also be keeping an eye on the voting that is going on. So far, it's been smooth. If there are any issues anywhere, trust us to bring them to you. In the NDC, those who want to contest for their internal, party elections, as in for party executives, must resign from government appointments before they can do that. And then, aside that, at least you must resign at least 6 months, before filing the nominations. Now, also in the Supreme Court, there is a suit that has been put before the court. And what is this suit about? It is a suit by Professor Frimpong Boateng, Nyaho Tamaklo, and one other that are asking the court to strike down what we have presently, what the NPP is doing today, that this should not be allowed in the parties. If you have to vote for a flag bearer, it should be open to all members and not a select group called the delegates. These are the issues we're going to look at now. Let's hear a bit around these issues and then come to the studio.
Any person seeking to contest for a party position who currently holds an office to which he or she was appointed by the president or government must resign from that office at least 6 clear months before filing nomination forms. 2, chairpersons or members of boards or persons in analogous positions are exempt from this restriction. Why? Because they are not full-time employees. So those who are full-time employees are affected. And the following are those who are affected. The affected officers under paragraph 1 include, they are not limited to: A, ministers and deputy ministers; B, chief executive officers, managing directors, their deputies or analogous officers; C, metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. Those intending to contest at the constituency level shall resign by April 2026. Those intending to contest at the regional level shall resign by May 2026. And those intending to contest at the national level shall resign by June 2026. These provisions are firm, constitutional, and will enforce without exception.
Right. So, Tanko, this decision, why? People believe that, there are those who believe that this is not good for your party. There are very young officers of the party who are holding, who have been appointed, and you want to deny them this opportunity before your elections. Why?
Council, you see, this decision was arrived at based on Article 54 of the party constitution. And let me, for the benefit of the general public, I want to read that as article.
Please go ahead.
Residual powers of National Executive Committee. This one, National Executive Committee, where on any party matter, there is no provision in this constitution which deals with that matter, the National Executive Committee shall, by resolution, provide for the matter to be dealt with. You see, so the issue that we are talking about is not in the Constitution. A matter like that is not explicitly stated in the Constitution. But the National Executive Committee, in the last meeting, and this National Executive Committee is made up of regional executives, national executives, MPs, the parliamentary caucus, and then the council of elders and all that. They all come, they come together to form the National Executive Committee. Now, they look at this and say, we are now in government, we're in power, we want to strengthen the party so that the party will be strong, whilst the government will also concentrate on its business, its core business. That was the brain behind it. And they said, okay, to do that, we have officers who were elected, all right, some appointed, but they are now in government. And then now, the appear, because of the nature of the economy, which was very bad, when we inherited a very bad economy, the country was in shambles, wanted to give ample time for the government to concentrate on resetting the government. Then the party will also do the reorganization and get in officers who will carry on the day-to-day business of the party. So that was why the National Executive Committee came out with this decision that certain officers who are full-time employed by the government should concentrate on the government business. Then there are other officers like the General Secretary mentioned. In fact, the General Secretary was basically reporting what the National Executive Committee decision, what the decision they took. So he was just reporting. He's the CEO of the party, chief executive. Right. So he was just reporting on that. And that board chairman and board members, that one is not a full-time. Board, sometimes they sit twice in a year, some 3 in a year, depend upon the nature of their work and all that. And so when you add them to this group, invariably you might not be doing justice to that. So that was the basis on making that decision. But nonetheless, there is a caveat. This one is referring to elective positions. And we must make it very clear. The decision is about elective position. Apart from elective position, there are appointed positions too. After the Congress of 19th December, there will be some positions which will be elective. This decision doesn't affect that aspect. So this decision is purely about electives. So that people want to contest elective positions, then it will, because it's a full time.
Yeah, that's clear enough.
Yes, and so those going in, we want to, because we've identified there are brainy people in the party who are very good in organizational issues and all that, and in their sectors, and they are in government. But because that one is appointive, the National Executive Committee will not regulate to debar them from bringing their experience to bear in the party running. Because that one there is not a full-time thing. You come in when the issues at that area arises. So that one is not affected. So you will still see these, our best brains in the party who are doing fantastic, the one you are referring to. I'm very sure and very clear in my mind that after the 19th December Congress, those people will be invited to take up those appointive positions to help the new officers who might be elected at the various congresses. So it's not meant to target anybody. I believe that the National Executive Committee thought through this and came out with this regulation based on the Article 54, that residual powers they have to make up this kind of regulation in order to guide our
what will be the fairness if some people are prohibited from contesting unless they resign, and yet for the appointive offices, some people will keep their offices and still stand a chance of being appointed to those offices? What will be the fairness?
Well, you see, if you look at it, Council, it's not about fairness. It's about providing technical support to the executive. That is what we're looking at. It's about providing technical support. Because if you look at it, being, for instance, if you want to be a general secretary of the party, it's a full-time job. Because you are the CEO of the party. And so if you are a CEO of the party and you are also a minister of state, you can imagine how you are going to handle the two. Okay, but if you are a director of legal of the party, that one is not a full-time thing. It is only, you only bring your technical knowledge when we have legal issues. You come and advise the party as what to do when it comes to legal matters and all that. It's not a full-time thing.
Right.
And so that is what we are looking at. So the issue is not about fairness.
The other question about fairness has been, why didn't you prohibit those who are serving on boards as well? Your national chairman, Esiedun Ketia, is serving on the GPHA board. We know in Ghana that's a very lucrative place. Why didn't you prohibit all those people as well? Because you give them advantage over the others you expect to resign.
But if you listen to the General Secretary very well, he made it very clear. These are not full-time jobs. Boards sit, sometimes they sit 3 times in a year. Some 2. Some self, it will take time. It depends upon the nature of the board. It's not a full-time. After the board meeting, that's the end of their job. And then the next
there are places of access and influence. There are places of potential, building a war chest.
Well, that is another leg maybe they have been looking at. But you see, you need to be fair to all the persons. If we say, okay, we have to segregate certain boards which are lucrative and all that, and regulate on that one and leave others, we might not also be fair. So in order to just be fair to all the board members and then listen, because not all of them are active work that they are doing. You go and sit in the board meeting and it will take about 3-4 months before you are even called to come, if only there's a business for you to come and decide. So that is the brain behind it. And so that one there...
But I spoke about access. People who are sitting on boards, who are even chairpersons of boards, can find jobs for loyalists. If you say people should resign, they resign. But those who are still keeping this board appointment can find jobs for loyalists. They have all sorts of access. And it's easier for them. And that can be used as an advantage. So that as we speak, we know that Esiedun Ketia is interested in becoming a flag bearer. We know that Julius Deborah is interested in becoming a flag bearer. We know some who are in ministerial positions who we understand are also interested in becoming flag bearers. So, well, that's not party office, but yeah. If they were interested in other offices other than party office, they were supposed to resign.
Well, that's why I'm saying that is another leg we are looking at. But we wanted to be fair. You see, and there's a dictum I always speak from lawyers, equity. You see, we're looking at that one. And so we wanted to be fair. The National Executive, yes, it is fair. The National Executive Committee wanted to be fair to all these people that we are talking of, so that we don't target certain people and say, okay, because the person is here, that this place is lucrative and all that, let's regulate against them. And then we might not be fair to them.
Okay.
So that is the brain behind it.
All right.
So clearly, the National Executive Committee, with this decision that they have come out with, is grounded on Article 54 of the party constitution. They are using their residual powers.
All right.
And that's
Dr. Arthur Kennedy, what do you make of this decision of the NDC? Is it good to foster, equity and fairness within the party, as he says?
Well, the intent is good, but I'm concerned about the effects. For example, it begs the question, is the flag bearer of NDC an elective position? So, for example, if somebody wants to be flag bearer, it is a party position, even though it's leading to a national position. Looking at what the MPP went through in 2007, 2008, I think the intent is good, but sometimes we overestimate the abundance of talent that the government or the party might find itself heading into 2028, that it has unnecessarily tied its hands behind its back by forcing people who are otherwise quite talented to give up offices that would have been beneficial to the party's reputation. The other thing is also that when you talk about board chair and board memberships, I think that my friend, Mr. Tanko, kind of oversimplifies it a little bit. Yes, the Ghana Ports Authority board chair might have one meeting a month or one meeting in 3 months, but from what I have learned, board chairmanships in the Ghanaian context are very busy positions. There is supplicants who are seeking your interventions and things. Those who manage the organization are coming to you. So the idea that once you finish the board meeting, all what you need to do is done, I suggest it's a little bit of an oversimplification. So I see the intent, but I think that in the end, there might be some regrets, both on the part of individuals and on the part of the party. But it will be interesting to watch it. But I didn't think the MPP benefited a lot from the 2007-2008 resignations.
Interesting. Fatih, they are taking a cue from some of the bickering, some of the problems that happen in the NPP, where people who are serving in government sought to undermine MP candidates and all sorts of things. So they want to cut all of them off. DCEs, they are all affected. These people, some of them undermined the sitting MPs.
It is an interesting issue, but one thing that we can all admit is that parties are not the strongest when they are in power, because it gets to a point that some of their best resources, human resources, are moved to go and govern. And there is this natural transition that occurs to find people to fill spots. And in our space, with all the uncertainties in political party financing, you realize that funding issues and all that is also complicated. So there is a genuine fear that this person is going here to build their war chest and come and take a position that someone has worked so hard for, and so on and so forth. I don't particularly know the thinking that went behind the decision of the National Executive Committee of the NDC to go in this direction. But what I know is that political parties evolve, and most of the evolution happens when they are in government and have moved a chunk of their human resources into government. And you need to figure out how you are going to run a successful and sustainable political party whilst other people are serving somewhere and they are not accessible. So our party is going through its own evolution, as you are aware of. And today, after today's election, we'll be back at the drawing board, as we did at last year's July conference, to see how best we can move along the changing time. So
this is a good thing they are doing.
If it's good for them, it's good for democracy. I am not. I will defer to him on NDC matters. I don't know much about their challenges, except that I see a few of their content creators and TikTokers crying on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, that they've been abandoned since the party came to power. And my brother was, they've been crying every day. Sometimes I even go into their DMs and tell them it is well. It shall be well. Every day they're crying. But just to land on the fact that, you see, as for Samson's show, when I come here, I don't want to do politics. I want to be talking Lord.
Well, now we are talking politics. Don't talk politics.
But my brother was saying they inherited a very bad economy.
I saw
and they
you
had
taking
to come
note of that.
Reset. I said, you know, these are family matters. I didn't want to go there. But I am clear in my mind that what the NDC has tried to do over and over again is to dismiss the exit data and record of the new Patriotic Party and continue to pick data from the crisis period, especially in 2022. If they are quoting fuel prices, they are quoting from 2022. If they are quoting dollar rates, they are quoting from 2022, just to exaggerate and make their point sweeter. But my brother failed to tell Ghanaians that the economy that President Akufo-Addo handed over to them was a recovering economy. Of course, you wouldn't say it was all rosy because we had to go under an IMF program. But this is an economy that gave us 5.7% GDP growth in 2024. Indeed, by every standard, no reasonable person would say it was going the Sri Lanka direction as at 2024. This is an economy that left more than 3.5 months import cover for your government, almost $9 billion US. the economy that left a gold reserve of, according to your data, 30.5 metric tons, when historical records show that we inherited a little over 8 metric tons. The gold that you have sold and liquidated and left only 18.6 tons. The economy that kept the children in schools, the economy that procured 2,240 drip equipment for all the MMDAs, so that you have appointed a national drip coordinator, 16 regional drip coordinators, you've appointed district drip coordinators, some are using the drip machines to do galamsey, according to the journalists like Erastus who have been following the galamsey menace. That is the economy that we handed over to you. So please, sometimes be graceful and tell the record as it is, that the exit data that President Akufo-Addo left as of 6th January 2025 was not an economy that was in a bad state. That economy could pay cocoa farmers. That economy made sure it created value in the agri sector. The maize farmers and beans farmers were not on radio and TV crying every day. That if you go to a dry market, they have, for a year, they have applied pesticides to their beans 3 times. Okay. They are afraid of food poisoning. So please, as your party is evolving, we are also evolving in opposition. But let us always set the record straight.
Dr. Osai, yeah.
It's a good idea.
From where you sit from CDD,
yes,
it looks like this is a good thing.
Yes, it's a good thing.
Separate the party from government.
Precisely, to separate the party from government. Because sometimes, you don't know where the party begins and ends and where the government begins and ends. I know that the political reality is that service to the party sometimes is sort of the platform, the gateway to being recognized
or rewarded.
And rewarded for them saying, oh, we've seen your talent in service to the party. We believe you can be useful, in government as well. But I believe it's a good idea to have that.
So therefore, it to be fair that those who have served and have been rewarded in the present government should choose to stay and enjoy their reward. Then those who want to serve in the party will continue to do that.
Exactly.
And perhaps they too, it will come to their time where they will move from party office to go to government office to serve as a reward.
Precisely. And even at some point to expand it beyond just your elective positions and even include all party positions, even the ones that are appointed. But sometimes when you talk to the party people, after elections, you hear things like, oh, these days nobody is even at the party headquarters, things like that. And I think post-election, especially when you win and you get into government, it can create some challenges for maintaining, running administration of the party. It can even weaken, the party depending, because, the kinds of roles you are in government, can you give both your full attention? So for me, I think it's a good, I believe it's a step in the right direction.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Osai Kwapong. Now, the other side was the matter of, so we're using this to dovetail into the NPP, voting that is going on for flag bearership. There's a challenge in the Supreme Court, and the challenge is a straightforward one, that only you should not leave the election of a presidential candidate to only delegates. It should be something that should be done by all the members of the political party. So let's begin from there. What do you think? Is it the case really that what they are doing now, what they are doing today is undemocratic and it does not sit well with the Constitution's, requirement? Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, Dr. Nyaho and Dr. Christine Omoakoniama are the plaintiffs in this matter before the Supreme Court. Who have they sued? They have sued the New Patriotic Party, the National Democratic Congress, and the Convention People's Party, as well as the Electoral Commission and the Attorney General. The reason the Electoral Commission and the Attorney General are there is so that among the relief they are asking for, that if the court holds that the delegate system is undemocratic and unconstitutional, it will be the Electoral Commission that will enforce it. Attorney General will also have an obligation in that regard.
Democracy doesn't always have to be direct. You can have indirect democracy. So, for example, when my parliamentarian is taking decisions in Parliament, right, they are making those decisions in principle and in an ideal world on my behalf, right, on behalf of a constituency they are representing.
But the constituency elected them.
Correct. So if you think
Not
of
a part of the constituency.
But if you think of a delegate system, you can think of it as an indirect form of democracy where these delegates have, quote unquote, delegated authority to help decide for the entire party.
Yes, so the point is
the
delegated authority should come from the general and not...
However, I want to say that for me, I've always argued for open primaries. I'm not a big fan of the delegate system. And it does come also from a selfish position. A very good friend lost a party primary years ago, whom I believed would have been a much better candidate for the party and a really good parliamentarian. And so after he lost, I started looking closely at this delegate system. This idea of it's cocoa season and it goes to the highest bidder. So I started arguing that, well, it may be easier to, quote unquote, buy a number of delegates, but it will be difficult to buy an entire constituency. So to make the race very fair and reduce the monetary incentive for the one with the deep pockets to be able to win, open it up to all registered members of the party in good standing. What some of my friends have said to me in the parties is that their concern is, what if in an open primary, the other side finds a way to infiltrate and get to also have a say in who becomes their flag bearer? But I think with technology, biometric verification, all of those tools, you can ensure that if you go and vote in an MPP primary, you can't turn around, hold a card and go and vote, in an NDC primary. So I think there are mechanisms through which you can prevent. I mean, the CRC is recommending this very thing that has gone to the courts. I don't think the political parties would back the CRC recommendation, which is why I'm counting on the courts.
Why would they not back it if the state will fund it? Because the parties, their major concern has been the funding.
The state would not also fund it because there's not a public appetite for state funding of political parties. So as far back as maybe 15 years ago, CDD Ghana did a study. There was a question about, do you support state financing of political parties? And almost close to 6 out of 10 Ghanaians supported some form of state financing. But by Afrobarometer, I think it was 2022, when that question came up, it's completely gone, no more than 2 out of 10. And I remember sharing it on social media, and everybody's response was, tell the political parties to go and look for their own money to finance that. So that appetite, the public appetite for state financing. You just said a while
ago that it should be possible to take out people who may want to infiltrate.
Yes.
So MPP is organizing its primaries today. You were saying if people have to use their cards.
Yes.
That must be shepherded by the state.
Yes.
If it's not shepherded by the state and you don't use state machines and systems, how will they be found out, going to vote for another?
Correct. So that part the state can take responsibility for, right? But not the sort of direct financing of, some state support, I would agree with. The other question that my friends would point out to me, in addition to how would the mechanisms work, is the cost issue, which is why I've also been wondering, the NDC tried an open primary for parliamentary candidates in 2020. I'm wondering what lessons they learned from that made them abandon that approach and return to the delegate system, even for parliamentary. Because I think whatever lessons they learned from that made them say, look, this is not the path. But I am really hoping that a day will come where we can get to open primary for all registered members of the party, in good standing. My mother would always say to me, only a few people get to select the flag bearer, and yet when it comes to election time, then you say we all must go and select that flag bearer, except that for her, she's a diehard party person, so she would always say, whoever the party selects, I will still show up and vote. But I would like to have a say, in the process of selecting and moving beyond the delegate system.
Dr. Kennedy, do you support?
Yes.
Do you support this suit and the arguments therein?
I do. Not completely the argument, but I support the suit in principle. You recall, and I think that we can't go into detail here because he hasn't given us permission to do that I took on Professor Kwesi Prempeh in a private forum you are on regarding a similar thing. And since we don't have his permission, I can't flesh everything out about his responses. But actually, this problem has existed for a long time, and the suit is grounded, as you've put up there kindly, on Article 55.5 and the quotation there that the parties must conform to democratic principles and their actions are not contravening or being consistent with the Constitution. Indeed, there is also another subsection of the Article 55 that you haven't put on there, that is 14A and B, which enjoins the political parties to declare revenues and assets and to also publish audited accounts every year, which of course they haven't been doing.
Yeah, that's in the Political Parties Act 2000. That's in the Political Parties Act, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that what they are saying has merit. And actually, if you think about it broadly, if we say that what the political parties do must conform to our Constitution, we know, for example, that today and in the days leading to today, a lot of money has changed hands. The Constitution of Ghana explicitly enjoins all of us to fight against corruption. So if monies are changing hands in exchange for votes, one can presume that that is inconsistent, for example, with our Constitution. We know that for DCEs, there were allegations that you had to buy your nomination at the presidency and buy your confirmation from the delegates. Obviously, these things are not consistent with our Constitution. But the reason why I said I do not completely support the basis is that in actual fact, there are a lot of places around the world where candidates are chosen by delegates. So choosing candidates by delegates per se is itself not undemocratic. So, for example, when you look at America and Australia and other places, that has evolved. In America, for example, they say famously that what they got was a republic and not a democracy. And when they say it was a republic, it is representative, which is where you use the delegates. In fact, in the United States initially, the president was not chosen by direct vote. Senators were not chosen by direct vote. And even now, even though the public votes, the American president is chosen by electoral college votes, which is why you can win the popular vote and still lose it. So I say all that to say that in a republic like United States, yes, you can do representation, but the solution to what is it that we are talking about can actually be found there. And I showed that in my exchanges with Kwesi Prempeh, that in actual fact, I noticed that Dr. Sekwapong talks about how, the going to direct vote, the other side might affect it. The thing to do is to bring the state in. And as I suggested, for example, we can ask every voter who is registering to vote to declare allegiance to a political party. And if they did that, it should entitle them to vote in that party's presidential and parliamentary primaries, as well as voting for DCs. And I think that by that declaration, and by the way, in the United States, your right to vote in a party's primary nothing to do if you're paying dues. You don't have to pay dues. The parties raise money separately, apart from dues paying, because the idea of having to pay dues in order to be a voting member or to be a member in good stand is a farce. The big people pay the dues for their supporters. So in the end, it is not they who pay. As for the state funding it, which Dr. Kwapon and Fatimata and others have raised, they are good points, but you know, whatever happens, somebody must pay for it. And money is the mother's milk of politics. So at a certain level, as you famously said, they said that Kennedy had ideas, but he didn't have money. So my point is the fact that the state is refusing to pay for it does not mean nobody is paying for it. Bad money is paying for it. And when bad money pays for it, it's an investment. We call them politicalpreneurs who invest in elections by buying delegates so that when people get into office, they can get something back.
You mentioned...
So it might be that in spite of our reluctance, the state must look seriously at making some investments in parties so that they would conform to what I call the principles of democratization, demonetization, transparency, and inclusiveness. Right. For example, this MPP primary that we are about to see, Cynthia Mamle Morrison and 200 of her supporters were just summarily removed from the register. There was no due process. I think the last point is that which is why Professor Frimpong Boateng, Nyawota Maklo, and Ms. Nyama's suit have merit, is that there are too many people who think or treat the parties as private clubs that they may manage in whatever way they please.
But that's your argument. Do your arguments about, you know, delegation not being undemocratic and unconstitutional, do those arguments not, you know, defeat this suit?
Not completely, because you know you can, in effect, validate parts of a suit and then let parts of it go. So, for example, I think that you can separate something like, I think the three areas every member of a party should be able to vote are picking MMDs, candidates for the party, picking parliamentary candidates, and picking the presidential candidate. And you can say, for example, that party officers, like constituency chair and others, might be by the delegate system. But even if you concede that you can use the delegate system, it can be amended to make it more democratic and transparent. For example, I don't see why, if the MPP is picking its presidential candidate, Wale Wale and Bantuma should have the same voice, because the party strength in the two places are significantly different. So you can still have a delegate system that approaches more the ideals of democracy.
You are getting back to the point. You are getting back to the point of controversy. You and Dr. Osai Kwapon, if your point is that a collegiate system or a delegate system is not necessarily undemocratic or unconstitutional, then how do we argue before the apex court that this delegate system is undemocratic? How do you come by the delegate system in the first place? The delegate system is a product of the constitution of a party. How is the constitution of a party promulgated? It is promulgated by the votes or the endorsement of the Congress, which is the apex body of the party. So how can you argue that it is undemocratic when the system that throws up the delegates system is democratic?
It is not actually a very difficult thing to say. You can, of course, have the Congress of the party constituted and administered in a way that itself is undemocratic and not transparent. You know, for example, the MPP constitution clearly says that when you make a constitutional amendment, you should circulate it a certain number of weeks before you go. They didn't do that. When they got to the Congress itself, you are supposed to count the votes and record it. They did voice votes. So there are a lot of ways in which these things are undemocratic, not necessarily because they are delegate systems, but because people are controlling it. You know, you wake up in the morning and some people's names have been removed from the register.
We understand those issues, but the question is the principle or the core at which this argument is mounted. Are we going to Athenian democracy where everybody will gather at the amphitheater and decide that this is what we have to do? And the question is, how do you achieve that? The parties say we simply can't achieve that with our current circumstances. It's about money.
Samson, I've told you how you can achieve that. So everybody, I have said that you can split the difference because we should be sensitive to the cost argument. But it is also true that the system as we are operating it now is not the best. So we can make it more democratic. In other words, democracy and not democracy are not just binary. It's a range. And you can move along the range. So, for example, when I ran for MPP flag bearer, there were only about 2,000 people voting. It's now 211,000 or something. So, obviously, the voting now is a little more democratic because more members of the party have a voice. But it is also true that when 211,000 people go get paid money to pick a presidential candidate and 6 million are supposed to vote for the person, then it's not as democratic as it ought to be. So how does the state step in? I've given you some ideas. For example, when you register to vote as a Ghanaian voter, you should tell them which party you prefer, and telling them that should give you a right to participate in their primary for both MP and for the presidential candidate. That is a significant improvement. We are also saying that having transparency about where money is coming from, and for example, having the state fix the dates. So the MPP is voting today, not because it helps the public, but because some people in the party thinks, let's be frank about it, it helps a certain faction. So part of the state's intervention might be to, in effect, make sure that within the parties' interests, which are powerful, do not manipulate the processes to the advantage of their factions.
All right, thank you.
That these parties are public institutions.
Thank you very much. And because you have to leave us, let me pick your comments now. I need to take a break, but let me pick your comments now. So they are saying that your processes, as far as your delegate system is concerned, is undemocratic as required by the Constitution. What do you say?
I do not have any reservation about the desire to go to court to test the law, just so that we have something on record for future references. But I am concerned that in Ghana, we fail to celebrate our democratic successes and are quick to throw away what works and are quick to disturb what ought not to be disturbed. I have been following the elections in Tanzania and also Cameroon and also other parts of Africa. I have gone to Nigeria as well. You go to places and you are like, what version of democracy is being practiced here? Ours is a growing democracy, it's young. But we should also acknowledge the fact that it is growing and it is getting better. Doc acknowledged that when he contested elections, there were 2,000 delegates. Now we have 211,000 delegates. by virtue of the amendments that we did to the NPP's constitution on 19 July 2025, we are going to expand the polling station executives from 5 to 7, electoral area coordinators from 1 to 5. We are allowing all former constituency officers, regional officers, national officers, MMDCs, ministers to vote. It has a potential to bloat our electoral college from even the 211,000 to even a larger number. Now, if you are positing that in Ghana, not in America, in Ghana, not in America, where you go to this house, you know there is a Republican voter here. In Ghana, where our constitution and statutes prevent even some civil servants and public servants to show their political colors, prevent some security agencies, prevent some traditional authority from involving themselves in politics, prevent other people in society from the kind of politics we have here, because this is not America and this is not London. Our cultural and social contexts are different. So if we have tried something and it works, let's not break it. We can test the law, but I am also admitting that, for instance, if genuinely the Constitution is right, it is not contradicting any provision of the 1992 Constitution. But you are saying, I have witnessed some incidents that are unconstitutional. Let us take on those isolated incidents. Let us bring light to it, amplify it, and make sure the right things are done. But why do we make the laws? Why do we have the Constitution? Why do we have the statutes? Because, first of all, we want them to be obeyed, a failure of which they must be enforced. If you force the courts to bring the kind of ruling and say, NPP, allow everybody in Ghana who has ever held your party card to go and vote to select a person, and the party says, we cannot pay for it, the laws you have made, the rulings will be observed more in breach than in compliance, because the practicality is not there. We can't do it. And you want us to go to court because you want us to be in the position and have the capacity to do it. I went to the CDU headquarters in Berlin in 2019 just to engage and investigate how government is able to fund political parties, how they mobilize revenue, the tax component that goes to political parties funding. And I was looking at our dispensation and I was like, this will not work here. You say you want to give political parties even 5 million cedis each, which cannot even conduct primaries for one candidate. And the next conversation around it is, but we don't have a classroom here yet. There is a pothole here. We haven't reached there. So maybe we should be a bit more cautious in the adventure that we want to pursue.
See, my biggest interest, as I said, is the fact that I still haven't gotten over the fact that my good friend, who would have been a good parliamentary candidate, lost because he didn't have deep pockets. So the political solution to the political problem for me is make it more difficult for those with the deep pockets to be able to buy the delegate system. I don't have necessarily a legal argument. And it is becoming more
difficult because we have expanded the electoral college. And let me remind you of one last point. Majority, about 90% of the delegates are elected by members of the party.
Right. Let's hear Rashid Tanko, the final one to person.
This one,
and then we take our break.
Well, the party, NDC, we have not been served yet. We have not received sermons on this matter.
Will you know?
Yes. I'm always at FEC meetings. I'm a member of FEC, so if it's there, I would have known. But clearly, if you look at it, the delegate system has served the country very well.
They actually say in their suits that in 2015, thereabout, you guys decided to do it the way they are asking the court to compel you to do it now.
That was
and then suddenly you change it again.
No, that was also a delegate system. But maybe because we didn't call it delegate system. Even the country, the way we elect our president and parliamentarian, we use the delegate system. The Ghana population is about, we are talking about 34 million. How many people elect the president? Is it not 70 million on our register? You must register first. If you are not a registered voter, can you go and vote? So we compile a register. We have a register, and that register will determine these are the people who vote for the president. And vote for them. That's one too. It's a delegate system. But it's expanded.
The argument is that every card bearer, every member of the party, every person you can identify as NDC,
yes,
should be allowed to participate in the flag bearership vote.
That is what we do it at the branch level. Look, we've just opened our registers for new members to be uploaded. Who want to join the NDC can take up the opportunity and pick up our membership. Now, when the register is compiled at the branch level, then we'll do branch elections. All party members in that branch who are holding party membership card will go and vote for the 9 officers of the branch. That's how we start. So it means all party members are going to be part of the voting of our executive from the base. Now, when we get these 9 executives, they are now representing the branches at each area. Then they now constitute the bulk of the deal to come and elect our constituency.
We were voted by all members.
All members.
Same as NPP.
That's why we do.
That makes it democratic.
That is what we do in our party.
In future they are going to choose your flag bearer, then they are exercising the delegated power given to them, by all our members. Just like we vote for MPs, they go
and represent us. Yes.
So it's democratic.
It's democratic. So that's what I'm saying. It has served us well. And that is why before we get to the 19th December, we would have done all this on the ground. So that we see that these 9 executives who are going to be elected are democratically elected by each party member.
This happens in all the parties.
Well, I don't know how the NPP
as well.
So with that one, I think it has saved us well. The only thing is that maybe, like the numbers, if you come to the 99, we think that at the branch level, people can still influence the 9 elected officers, then we can increase. But that one, you see, will go into the realm of absurdity. Like my sister was talking of. It's not easy conducting election at the internal elections. It's very costly. It's not easy because you have to get electoral commission. You have to pay them because you have to pay for the printing of the ballot papers and their officers who are going to be there unless the state wants to now come in and take over the organization of internal election of political party, and of which the state has other pressing matters that they will want to look at. And so for now, this one has saved us well. I've listened to our senior citizens who have gone to the Supreme Court. Yes, they might have a general based on the monetization of our processes. That might be the reason behind them going this. Because of late, we used not to have that. I remember in 1992, when we started this journey, and where I participated fully was the 1996 one. Look, at that time, there was nothing like spending on delegates. At that time, it was just posters. You bring a poster and they are good to go, or T-shirt. And then bicycle. After a bicycle there, you are just Oga. That was how we're doing it. And then 2000, we came in. Then we started around 2001, 2002. Then the issue of monetization started. Of late, now even to ask people...
The two of you, yes, you fortify Arthur Kennedy's arguments and those of Dr. Osai Kwapong when you insist that how the delegates are chosen is the general membership of the party at the branch level,
yes,
that picked them.
Yes.
Therefore, it's a democratic system. If you are able to allow the general membership at the local level to vote for those local executives who eventually become delegates, why can't you allow the system generally to be there? It means it is not difficult to do.
That's what I'm saying. You have to also be mindful of the cost element that you are looking at. Okay, that we tried in 2015. That is our biometric system, where we said, okay, every party member who is holding party membership card was captured on our biometric system, and then they will come and decide for our parliament. That was what we used in the 2015 to elect our parliamentary. And it cost us a lot because we realized that there were a lot of infiltration into the system. Because the system, people wanted to get their favorite elected. You saw that a lot of people who were not even party members managed their way into the system. And so it gave us a hell of time, and I'm not surprised that the 2016 election didn't go well for us at all, because people were aggrieved with the system and we had to abandon it. So it also boils down to internal mechanism, how to put our data together. The party membership is another critical one. If we have it like what we are doing now, we are now trying to prepare the data, comprehensive data, and that is why we have given the timelines as to when to open the register and when to close it, so that those who are desirous want to join the NDC will come pick membership at the branch level. Then they will compile the data, we'll put it together. Going forward, we'll envisage that kind of system, where when we have the proper data being digitized, then we can go that route of reverting to where we can say all branch members can now constitute the delegate instead of the 99 to come and then elect our officers at the branch level.
Okay.
So that we can decentralize the process at that level. But for now, I think the delegate system has worked for us. And it's just a matter of people now dipping their hand deep into their pockets and trying to, like what is going on today. We have picked a lot of...
Thank you. We'll take a break here. We'll take a break here. When we return, we'll focus on how far the voting has gone and potentially how it looks like. So you are going to vote now? Yeah. All right. Who is your vote on?
Dr. Baumia.
Dr. Baumia.
Yeah. Number 3.
Will he win?
Hey.
Huh?
Will he win?
He will.
He will?
We'll find out.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well,
you find out.